Hi everyone, this is Jacqueline with Jacqueline Cooks, and we are making apple crisp with a yogurt dollop on top. So I'd like to introduce my guests today, and I have Jonah and Rynia. So, okay, we're gonna get started cooking. So when I make apple crisp, I like to use sweet apples because then I don't really have to add any extra sugar to the apple, and I think you get more apple flavor when that happens. So right here I have 4 Honeycrisp apples, and I'm gonna peel them. Now sometimes I luck out and I can do the whole peel at once. We'll see if that works this time, but we'll see. But anyway, so tell me what brings you guys here today?
I like food, so I'm very happy to be here right now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dish?
Oh gosh, do you want to go first?
Favorite dish? Well, okay, this is anti-Chicago to say, but I'll say a Detroit-style pizza. Is just give me that food.
That's not a bad thing. I was born and raised in Detroit, and I have to say Detroit-style pizza is pretty dope.
Superior, right?
Well, did you hear the story about why the head has the crust it has?
Which is just like the burnt cheese edges, basically.
Right, but it's also because it's the pan they use, and it has to do with the fact that the pans, and I'm not going to use the correct term, but it was from someone took a pan that they worked on the line, like for the car factories, and they were pans that they used to hold like the nuts or bolts or something, I don't know, on the line, and they took it home and they washed it and they made pizza in it. And it gave such a superior crust. I mean, obviously they cleaned it. No, but they cleaned it. I don't think it had oil and stuff in it,
right.
but they
cleaned it. But it worked
out
fine. It worked out fine
so
today.
When they did it, it was a way to go, and they took pizza and turned it into something great. Okay, so I got one, but I didn't get both. Okay, so as you're peeling an apple, you don't have to do it like this. I just do it because it's fun. You can also, when you're peeling apples, just do the classic peeling this way. You can do it either way. It doesn't have to be the fancy way of doing it.
My mom does it.
This way?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just do it because it's it's like a challenge.
To get it all in one?
Yeah. I've done it a few times. I don't think I've ever done it a ton.
She's just like, done. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal?
Yeah.
My favorite meal would probably, this is hard because obviously I love food. I mean, don't we all? Probably something Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Because I'm Middle Eastern and I'm a little bit biased, but I just love the flavor.
No, you're just an expert.
Oh yeah, thank you. I love the flavor profiles of that. But if I had to just say one dish, it would probably be crab rangoon. Sue me.
Really? Now, do either of you like to cook?
I like to cook. I'm the type of cook that never experiments with changing the recipe. Like if I find a recipe I want to try, I'm stuck to it. There's no adjusting going on because I'm like, well, if people rated this 5 stars, then that's exactly what I'm going to make today.
Yes. First of all, I think people grade inflate. So a lot of times recipes are like 5 stars. I'm like, I don't know. They're only 5 stars.
Well, I don't know about that.
But my question is, so you make it, and then do you then decide, okay, so if it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, do you go to a different recipe, or do you then try to say, okay, I'm gonna adjust it a little bit?
Yeah, I'll adjust it if it was good. If it was a good dish, then I might still try to improve it a little bit after making it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now everyone, I am going to use an 8-inch chef's knife, and I'm gonna slice around. I don't core my apples. I'm just going to slice around 4 big chunks. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Because I put that bowl right there. Okay. And I'm going to put this actually right there, and I'm going to stick this up there. So a lot of times it happens when we're cooking is we have our cutting board, and we pile everything right all in the middle, and then we're like, we can't, you're like, everything's right here. And you're trying to cut it, and you're like, okay, move stuff out of the way, give yourself a little room.
Right, yeah.
So then, I'm just going to do this, cut these like that. Those are also good things if you want to nosh on them, right? While you're...
No waste, yeah.
Yeah. The coring, to me, it's too much extra work that you don't really need. You don't get that much extra apple out of it for it to be worth going through all that trouble of going down the center and then coring it. And then it's also easier, too, when you don't have to worry about the tops and the bottoms quite as much. I'm just cutting the little bits of the red off because in a crisp type situation, the skin is going to be a little chewy. So you don't really want any skin.
Don't want that.
Nope. You just want to spoon into the yummy goodness, right? Okay, so in the apple, these are Honeycrisp. You can use any other sweet apple that won't break down too much when you are, and then I'm going to cut across this way. I'll come back to the apple part. And then you're just going to cut into chunks. I like it about this size. It's okay if they're not perfect, right? It's meant to be a rustic dish. So then I'm just gonna kind of go through and cut this way. I'm just going to keep cutting across and down so I can get the kind of square chunks. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, great. In the little bowl I have right here, which I'm going to toss with the apples in a second, I have cinnamon, of course, nutmeg. I have allspice, which is one of my favorite spices, which I think is oftentimes a underappreciated, underutilized spice. And I have a little bit of clove in with that. And there's also a little bit of cornstarch. And what the cornstarch is going to do is when the apples release some of their water, as they release some of their water as they bake, they will mix with the cornstarch and it will help form like a really nice, thicker kind of sauce inside the crisp.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And you can do this with pears, apples.
Oh,
you can do it with, you can do it with berries. You can do it, like this crisp is a very kind of versatile dish. I like to use, as seasonal as much as possible. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna dump this in.
Flavor.
And I'm going to so we're gonna move this around and let these kind of just hang out.
How do you choose what apple to use? There's too many apples.
There are, and it's funny. Traditional apples that are used for crisps and things like that are Granny Smith. Apples that hold their shape. So some apples, like a Macintosh, is going to be great for applesauce because it really breaks down. Okay. I like this because it doesn't break down a lot, and Honeycrisps are really sweet on their own, and that's why I don't need to add any extra sugar. Okay, so in here I have a teaspoon of butter in a baking dish. You can also do small individual dishes too. It doesn't matter. You would just spread out the teaspoon. My hands are clean. They just have a little bit of apple juice on them. But you're just going to spread this around in your pan, and you are going to spread it around up on the sides as well as the bottom. This will help form part of the sauce as well. It'll add some delicious flavor. As well as mouthfeel, which is really important when you're making yummy things. You want a mouthfeel. Fat is what brings mouthfeel into a dish. And in doing that, what it does is it helps you feel satiated, right? It brings the satiety into this so that it tastes good and you feel like you really enjoyed something rich and decadent. Okay, so we have oats, 2/3 of a cup of oats. I have 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of water mixed together. Okay, and here I have a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then in here I have butter. Now you can melt the butter ahead of time. You can also put it in like this as long as it's softened in room temperature. So you can put it in like this, and then I'm gonna coat everything with it, and then I'm going to take half of it and we're gonna grind it in the food processor to make a paste so that it will help form like a more of like a crust that holds together while it's baking. So this is gonna take a second to do. It's really a pretty simple dish to make, and it's mostly hands-off once you prep it. Have you guys done a lot of baking? Do you like to bake? Are you more savory or sweet type?
I prefer baking over cooking. I feel like it's a little easier.
Really? Because you like to follow a very specific, exact...
Yeah, and so my thing this year is like pumpkin bread. Like that's my thing. That's my whole like gimmick.
How many have you made so far?
So I made like 3, but they're all good. But I've like...
3 different recipes?
Yeah, so in one of them I added an extra egg. I'm a fan of adding an extra egg in there.
Okay.
One of them I did butter instead of the regular stuff, so they'll be like put milk and put a little bit of baking powder, baking soda, whatever it is, and then I won't see butter anywhere in there. Okay. But I'll do butter in the other one and it'll give it a completely different texture, and like how much it'll rise, it'll affect it too. But obviously I'm not an expert. I mean, you're the whole, you know more.
But you know what I was going to say, a suggestion to you is as you're making stuff, right, you want to save a slice of each, and then whether you freeze it or whatever, and then bring it out and then put them all together and taste them side by side.
Yeah, that's smart.
So that you can then
write that down real quick.
Yeah. Right, so that you can then figure out which one you like the best and how it works.
Yeah.
You're going to grind up the oats and all of the ingredients into a paste. You're going to take this, you're going to put it back in with the whole oats. You're going to add in the chopped nuts, which I'm going to chop really quickly. We're going to put everything together and throw it in the oven. And it bakes for 40 to 45 minutes. You're then going to want it to sit for at least 15 minutes before you serve it. 1, because it's too hot, and 2, because it allows the It allows the juices and the cornstarch to do their job and set up so it's like a thick sauce versus just like runny mess. So I'm just chopping up the walnuts right now. We're gonna throw this in because I like to have the texture of the walnuts. That's why I don't like to chop it ahead of time or put it in the food processor. I like to have a little bit of that texture as well as you get more of the nut flavor. Okay, the apples go in. So you put the apples in, and then and you're gonna pack them in there, and it's okay if it's gonna mound up above a little bit. That's why you're gonna bake this on top of another sheet tray, because in case it bubbles over, you want it to be able to catch all those juices and not make a mess of your oven. So tell me, as I'm putting this topping on, which all you're gonna do is just press it on the top, and it's okay if it comes out, except I like to do it on here already, because then as you press it on the top, I'm gonna spread it over. And as it bakes, it's gonna go down because the apples will condense as it goes down. So, I'm gonna push this on here like this and try to get as much of it off your hands as possible, right? Mm-hmm. And then we are going to put this in the oven. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my hands really quickly, throw this in the oven, and we're ready. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, I do comedy videos, and I'm an actor here in Chicago.
Great.
So do a lot of commercial work, some TV and film. But then on social media, I do sketch comedy, and then I do animation mixed with live action. So it's just kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but that's a pretty old reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, like anything that's filmed footage, I have something in that footage turn animated.
Okay, so a little bit, just as we do this is a little bit of the magic of TV.
Yeah.
So now I have an apple crisp that I've made individuals. You can do it in one large dish, or you can also do it in individual dishes. And so we have this ready, it's warm, and we're gonna serve it to my guests. The other thing too is I'm gonna add a little bit, do you both like yogurt?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna add a little bit of yogurt on top. I have a little bit of Teflon hands, but not great ones. A lot of like old school chefs have like super Teflon hands. Okay, I'm gonna grab, from the fridge, I'm gonna grab some yogurt. And there it is.
Rynia, you didn't say what you do.
What?
Okay, sorry. I was like, should I say something? Okay.
Yeah.
So I sing and I do impressions. I do a little bit of everything. So I mainly like to stick to celebrities, especially pop singers of today.
Okay.
But I also do like cartoon impressions, and then sometimes I like make up my own voices or characters.
So this is a little bit of what it looks like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ooh.
Underneath is drawer liner that I take, and I use it so that you can make it so your dishes don't slide around when you want to make them pretty, but you don't want them to make a mess. So that is apple crisp with a yogurt dollop. So please enjoy.
Are you getting in? You're not going to eat it with us?
No.
Okay.
I've tried a lot of them.
All right,
the
fair.
last few days.
Great. I love the gooey bottom with the right amount of like crisp and dry ingredients, like the oats on top. It's the perfect mix of everything.
Yeah, it's basically fall in a cup, and I love fall flavor profiles, so it's really good. Okay. Thank you.
And one of the reasons why I use the yogurt as opposed to like ice cream or whatever is I like the tang it adds, because there's like it's already sweet. And so I think that adds a nice tang as opposed to just more sweet. You get to taste the apples better.
It absolutely does. And the apples don't taste like a mash of just like applesauce. They truly still taste like...
Everything is texturing, and I love that.
Right.
Is it a Greek yogurt?
And it's texturing together.
It is Greek yogurt.
I love Greek yogurt. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
If you gave
I
me
like a thick Greek creamy yogurt.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Jacqueline Cooks.